What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. At least it's Thursday right now as I'm recording this. Today we are going to be focusing on the thoracic spine. This is going to be almost entirely ground-based routine, and we're going to be focusing on linear segmentation, and we are going to more importantly be focusing on thoracic spine extension. So for those of us who have the forward shoulder posture, forward head posture, this is going to be a phenomenal class to help unlock that thoracic spine, to help get you to possibly even breathe better, open up that back, feel the shoulder blades start to move a little bit better. I will be doing another class in this same series that will have a little bit of breath work, and I will be doing another class within the same series that will involve more rotation. So they will all kind of feed together for the most part, but you can take any one of these three classes separately as a standalone, and you can take whatever you want from these and use them in the same series if you'd like. But anyway, aside from that, we're going to be focusing on the T-spine. We're going to be focusing on extension primarily today, and that is going to be our goal. So I have a few props here that I highly recommend that you guys have for today. If you don't have them, you don't necessarily need them, but they're going to make your life substantially, I wouldn't say easier, they're going to get you results much better if you have these things. So this, very few people have. If you have a back roller, I highly recommend you get it out. Or if you don't have one, I highly recommend you go purchase one. This is the ultimate back roller from Mobility. I have numerous clients who have back rollers of various different brands, shapes, and sizes as far as diameters go. And every single one of them has told me that this one seems to fit the best, feels the best, and is the most versatile. So, ultimate back roller from Mobility. I'm not getting paid for this advertisement, but I love their product. They make phenomenal products, and I highly recommend that you snag one of these and put it in your arsenal. Now, if you don't have a back roller, hopefully, if you're in the mobility mindset, you have at least acquired a standard foam roller. It doesn't matter if it's real foam, it doesn't matter if it's one of those PVC core ones, it doesn't matter if it's real small and it's only about yay big. We just need a foam roller because we need a prop that you can bend back over that will be safe on the spine, and a good old foam roller gets the job done there. I will not be teaching you how to foam roll because that's a fairly worthless practice for the most part. I will not get into that right now, but there's a time and place for foam rolling. Now is not the time to foam roll, it is the time to use the foam roller for something entirely different. Aside from that, oh yes, they're behind me. You are probably going to benefit greatly from having kettlebells handy. I have two 26-pound kettlebells here today. If you have one big giant kettlebell, that's honestly probably your better bet. It's easier on the shoulders to reach back overhead with a bigger foam roller. If you don't have kettlebell, that's fine. You just really want to have something that when we bend back over the foam roller, you have a handle that you can hang on to so you're pinned and locked in place. Aside from that, those are really the big things we need. Now, substitutes for these things, if you don't have them. Substitute for a foam roller. Get yourself a large beach towel, for example, and fold it in half, or fold it so it's like long-wise, like hot dog fold, so where it's maybe about that wide, and then tuck and roll that thing in the tightest burrito you can possibly roll. So that way as you lay over it, it holds its round shape, and then you have something to bend back over. If you don't have that, you can possibly get away with maybe a couple pillows stacked up, so at least gives you some form of an arch. I've had clients tell me that they have used a roll of paper towels to use as a prop for this as well. Basically, you just need something that's semi-soft that you can have a cylinder of and you can bend back over. If you don't have kettlebells, kind of like I mentioned before, you are going to just need something you can hang on to. Some kind of solid something, whether it's the legs of the coffee table, whether it's the edge of the underside of your couch. Maybe you just put a chair in your living room and you just stack a bunch of stuff on top of it to kind of weight that chair down. We just need something that's relatively heavy and as stable as it can be. It doesn't need to be a specific weight. It just needs to ideally be heavy enough for you to not move when we get into the positions we're going to get into. So like I said, I have 2 of these. The other one is right here behind me. It just makes it easier to hang on to. So that's the props that we're going to need for this class. Aside from that, guys, we are just going to pretty much get right into it. The training portion of this class is going to be fairly short and sweet, but it should be highly effective. So this should be 30 minutes, give or take, is my plan here. And we're going to go through this, and we're just going to target the thoracic spine, and we're just going to try to open it up. Now, as we get going into this, a couple things I want to remind people of with the spine is closing angle joint pain, or closing angle joint pinching, or excessive pressure. Basically, what we want to make sure that we feel is as we bend backwards into extension, or even as we bend forward into flexion, we do not want the direction we're going into to cause any form of pain. So for example, if we're going to do a spinal segmentation where we're sitting here and we're going to crunch and we're going to roll the spine over, and then we go to extend backwards into extension, we want to make sure that we don't get any pinching on the back side of the spine. If there's some soreness, if there's some fatigue, that is one thing, but I really don't want anybody at all to work into something that is excessively pinchy or excessively compressive back there as we go backwards. The front side should be what stops you. Same thing as we crunch forward. As we crunch forward, we want to make sure that the front side does not stop us. There should be no pinching in the chest bones. There should be no collarbone crunchy stuff. Maybe a little crunchy is one thing, but we don't want any pain in the front. It should feel like the stretch on the backside is what's stopping us. So those are the big takeaways for this one. It is very possible you are going to feel your neck in a number of different positions as we do this. So rule of thumb is do everything you can to protect your neck and focus on the spine. So if that means you get into a position, you start producing a pales or rails contraction, and you start to feel your neck really, really give you some trouble, then that means you need to back off, maybe put a prop underneath your neck to help lift it. Maybe you just need to bail off from holding the weight or prop behind you and just put your hands behind your neck and just flex into the core without actually moving. You're gonna have to play with some of this stuff, especially if it's brand new. We're kind of flirting with the danger zone here, but I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you guys safe as we do this. And as long as you don't ego move or ego lift or ego bend, whatever you wanna describe it as, you should be just fine. Okay, so now we're gonna get straight into our spinal extension focused work slash spinal segmentation work. So we're gonna be ground-based as we do this. And we are gonna start in a crisscross position on the ground, or at least that's where we're going to try to start from. If for some reason your knees, hip, or back don't like this position, you can sit in a chair. You can also stick your legs out in a straddle position if that's more comfortable. It's usually not, but for some people it is. Or you can do this standing. I'm just on the ground, so that way I get a nice clean sideways angle as we do this, and I want you to try to stay on the ground as best you can. So we're gonna first focus on just some linear warm-up for the spine. So we're gonna hug ourselves, and we're gonna do our best to segment the spine piece by piece. So we're gonna sit nice and tall. First, we're gonna sniff in some air. We're gonna pack the core. We're gonna feel like we got a bubble of pressure inside of our abdomen. And then we're gonna slowly bring the chin down. With the chin pulled down, we are now going to stretch the spine open, one piece at a time.
as we peel open the upper back, and we do our absolute best to move one piece at a time through the upper back. This should feel like a stretch as we go through, and it should feel active, like you are flexing to produce more effort as much as we can. And we're going to take this crunch down so that way we don't really go any farther through the rib cage stuff. If you can bend down to where you go all the way into your legs, you're probably getting into the low back a little bit, or maybe you just got a really bendy spine. But we're going to try to keep the stretch focused in that upper back, and we'll go down until we kind of max out our thoracic spine. And then from here, we're going to think about flexing the core, and the very bottom rib is going to start to push forward and lift up. And we're going to keep that forward and up mindset as we push each and every rib forward. The chin is going to stay down as we do this. We're then going to get up into the chest. We're going to push the chest up and forward. The sternum and the chest bone up and forward. The collarbones come up and forward. And we're just going to keep lifting and lifting until we run out of spine. Then we're going to lift the elbows. As the elbows come up and forward, we're going to really think about bending through that upper back. And we want the chest bone to come up and in front of us as we try to bring the arms up and behind us. So we try to create a fulcrum. And some of you are going to look very different than me. My spine does not do super great here, and that's one of the reasons we are working on this, because most of us can use some improvement. As we're all the way up at the top, we're going to reverse it slowly. The chin and elbows are going to come down together. Once they come down, piece by piece, we roll the back over. We open the upper back. And we crunch it all the way down, back to where we started. Nice, smooth, controlled motion. And then we will go back and forth. Get all the way to the bottom, brace the core. Bottom rib goes forward and up. Each and every rib, forward and up. And then we'll speed up our process just a little bit. We break the rib cage open in the front, we lift the chest, we lift the elbows. We find this big extension as we fight to pull the base of the neck backwards, trying to feel that upper back contraction. As we get to the top on this one, we'll sniff in some air and see if that air helps us inflate and maybe bend back some more. And then the elbows and chin come down. And we crunch it all the way back down. Big crunch. And we reverse it one more time. Belly, ribs up and forward. We bend that lower back. All the ribs try to make their way up and forward. We lift the chest. We lift the collarbones. We push the sternum and the chest bone forward and up. The base of the neck pulls backwards. The elbows go high. And we fight to find a nice big extension. Reach, reach, reach on this one. Big breath in. Exhale, stay up. Inhale. Reach for it, exhale, and we can come down on that one. So from here, we are going to go ahead and go straight into our extension using our roller. So if you have the fancy back roller, I want you to use the fancy back roller. Otherwise, we're just going to use the foam roller. And the foam roller is what I'm going to use right now, because chances are most of you have one of these. It's also going to be similar to the shape of your towel if that is something you're using. So we're going to position our roller right in that upper middle back. So from here, before we just start throwing our body back into the stretch and holding it, we're going to go through some hinge point movement here, trying to open up and warm up a little bit more specific spot. So most of us are really locked up right in between the shoulder blades. It's typically where we start to go forward. So we're going to roll the roller up the back until we can feel our shoulder blades on the roller. And then from here, we're going to put our hands behind the head. Now, before we start doing anything else, we're going to think about our ribs here. You can see mine all flared up. We're going to take a breath in. As we exhale, we're going to pinch the ribs together and pull them down. And then from there, we're going to do our best to lock the ribs down.
Hands are going to stay behind the head, and then we're going to just start to actively flex as if we're going to wrap our spine around our foam roller or our prop, whatever it is. We're going to just get a nice big arch here. We're going to try to get as low as our body will let us. We're going to think about flexing through the spine stuff. Our core is pretty strong here. And we're going to hold this for a second. And then we're going to think about where we feel the most pressure on our roller. And that's going to be our hinge point. So everything above where you feel the roller is now going to crunch up and forward. So all of this stays still. Where you feel the roller is where you move from. And now we reverse it. So we think about that hinge point where we feel the roller. We wrap the upper back around our roller. We keep those ribs down and locked in place as best we can. And we can even think about pushing those elbows up to the sky and then back and behind us as we really try to wrap the spine backwards. Let's take a breath in, keep the ribs down, and then exhale. Really try to bend backwards. And then we crunch back up. Focus on where you feel that roller. And we go back again. Keep everything nice and still. Core is tight. Sniff in some air. Pack the abs down. Think about where you feel that roller. Think about the spine doing the work. We flex into the upper back. We make the upper back spine tissue do the work. We're going to let the head fall down this time. We're really going to reach the top of the head to the wall behind us. We're going to wrap the spine around. We're going to sit here for a second on this one. Inhale. Exhale. Stay there. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Keep staying. One more breath in. Keep those ribs down. Find more stretch if you can. And then we will ease off. All right. So from here, now we're going to need to position ourselves where you can hang on to something, whether that's the couch, kettlebells, heavy dumbbell, something solid. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust. If you're using 2 kettlebells like me, we're going to keep them about shoulder width apart, so that way it's relatively comfortable to reach backwards and grab these things. If you have a bigger kettlebell or you're not very bendy, you're probably going to want the prop that you hang on to be higher than this. So maybe if you're using kettlebells, you put a couple books underneath each one. Maybe you put some yoga blocks underneath each one and you raise it up. Otherwise, you start here, and this is where we work from. So very similar to where we were before. We think about just barely feeling the shoulder blades underneath the roller, or on top of the roller. And then on this one, we're actually going to scoot up, so the roller goes down on us just a little bit. So now we're below that point we were focusing on before, just slightly. And then we will reach back and grab our kettlebells. Now, keeping the neck out of the picture here is tricky, so we're not going to stay here very long. Remember the ribs, so you see my ribs all flared up. We're going to take a breath in, exhale, we pinch the ribs together, and we drop them. And as you do that, that's going to lock your core and your rib cage in place, so that way you can focus on the thoracic spine, getting as much stretch as it can. And I'm going to let my head fall back because I can do this comfortably. If you have to keep your neck up like this, that's fine. You just do what you got to do. And remember, we're not going to be here very long, but we're trying to do our best to relax over a stretch. And this is ideally where we will be. And if you need to grab lower on your kettlebells, go for it. If your hands are going numb for any reason, you have to bail out of this. I do not want anybody to stay here with numb hands. So we take a nice big breath in, exhale, drop the ribs. We inhale into our back on the roller, exhale, drop the ribs. We do this again. Inhale, exhale, and one more breath in, and exhale. Drop the ribs. All right, from here, the PALS contraction. We are going to attempt to hold on to our prop, and we're going to try to crunch up off of the roller. But we think about where that roller is, and that's our pressure point for our back, and everything above that tries to come forward. We're only going to hold this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now we're going to reverse our effort into extension. So we're now going to attempt to gently push the kettlebells into the ground, and now we're going to really reach the head, reach the spine, and we're going to try to wrap around the kettlebell, or the roller, I'm sorry, wrapping around the roller as best we can. We're going to fight for extension for 10, 9, flex into the spine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Take one breath in, one breath out. Try to relax. Try to keep the ribs down. And then we're going to let go of our prop. Move your hands behind your head first. Let your hands guide your head up. And then we can come off of our position. Now that gets a little rough, and it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. So as you went to bend backwards, if you felt a lot of stress in your shoulders, then maybe you don't get to hold on to kettlebells. If you went back there and you felt pain in your shoulders, then you are definitely not going to hold on to something solid. Or maybe you need to hold on to something that's way up here. It's possible that you just need to keep your hands behind the head, and we just need to focus on the stretch for a little bit. So now, well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to keep the hands behind the head. We're going to scoot the roller a little bit lower on the back now. We're still going to tuck our ribs. We're going to take that big breath in, big breath out. Keep those ribs nice and still. We're going to keep the lower abs and hips nice and still. And then we're just going to fall back for our stretch. And now for this one, we're going to think about trying to actively wrap the spine back over this roller as much as we can. So the ribs stay down. We try to flex the upper back. We try to pull the base of the neck backwards. And then we hold right here with this contraction. So we're flexing, we're trying to go for more. And now from here, we're going to take a nice big breath in. We're going to exhale, and we're going to try to pull back for more. Listen to your shoulders, be nice to them. Inhale, exhale, pin the ribs down, peel the back farther into extension. And we go again. Inhale, exhale, try to go back again farther. Keep the ribs down as best you can. We're going to do one more here. Inhale, exhale. We try to bend back again, trying to pull that spine around our yoga block or our roller or our towel, whatever it is we're using. And then from here, we're just going to pull the head up. We're going to roll the spine off the prop. And then we will slowly make our way all the way up. All right. Now, from here, if you have a long foam roller, it's going to make your life really, really easy and awesome. If you don't have a long foam roller, that's fine. You are just going to think about laying on something like this as we go to segment our spine piece by piece back into extension. So we're going to get rid of our weights. We're going to get these guys out of the way. And now, if you have the nice long foam roller, it's going to come to about the tailbone, and then we're going to lay back over the roller, and it should feel like it kind of cradles the spine is what we're trying to go for. And it should be somewhat comfortable. It might be a little on the uncomfortable side just to lay here, and that's fine. It's going to work with what we got. If this is painful, you're just not going to lay on the roller. You're going to lay on the ground. If your body lets you lay here, then that's where we're going to be. Now, from here, we're only going to crunch up until we feel almost the entire upper back come off the roller, and then we're going to slowly lay back down onto the roller. But we're going to try to keep everything as active as possible. So as we go to crunch up, we're going to use the core. Our hands are going to guide the head, so we keep it in the spine. And we're going to think about flexing deep into the spine to pull up into our crunch. And then once we're at the top of the crunch, then we're going to think about locking the abs in place, and we're going to try to peel the spine open using the back tissue. So we're fighting to flex and pull the spine down and into the roller, and you can really feel that with the foam roller until we run out of spine. So it's not a huge movement, but we're trying to feel each and every piece of the back. So as we get back to the flat position, we're going to really want to make sure that we keep the head, we're going to try to keep the head pulled up so that as we go down, we can really feel that upper back try to make contact and really roll. And then we're going to repeat that process. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my lovely hat for this one. And we are going to go through 5 of these. Crunch up, slow release, and roll down. Crunch up, slow release, and roll down. And we're just going to knock it out. And remember, you work with what you got. If you're on the roller, feel your spine. Try to hit each and every piece. If you're on the ground, do your best to feel the spine hit each and every piece. So, hands are behind the head. You're trying to not let the neck do a whole lot. So you're going to pull the head up first. We're going to crunch like you're going to roll it off the ground. From here, the abs are going to lock you still. We're going to try to keep the back as flat as we can on our roller from here. And then we're going to slowly start to flex the core and then pull the spine down into the roller piece by piece, as clean as we can. Fighting for spine control, trying to feel the absolute deepest spine tissue do the work. We keep the chin tucked so we can feel more of that upper back, try to make contact. And then as soon as we run out of room, we think about pulling the base of the skull into the block, and then we just crunch back up. That's number 1. And then we go again. Brace the core, lock it in, and we crunch or pull down. 1 piece of spine at a time, trying to flex the back to pull the spine into the ground. We go all the way down into extension. We feel every piece of the spine on the roller as best we can. We pull the back of the head into the ground a little bit, and then we crunch. We roll off. Each and every rep, we try to get a little higher. We lock the abs in, and then we roll down. And we pull the spine down piece by piece. We envision a wheel, like our back is rolling down across our prop. We think about pulling each and every piece of the spine into the ground. We try to feel for that upper back stuff as best we can, keeping the chin tucked down. Once we hit the make full contact, we pull the back of the head. We feel that flex behind the head. Hands come back, and we go back up. We crunch, and we roll down again. Keep the back nice and flat from here, and then we pull the spine down. We go each and every piece. Flex the back. Feel the spine attempt to do the work. Try to own the contraction deep into your back. And we try to get more and more control each and every time. We try to tuck the chin to feel that base of the neck pull back. It should feel like a double chin type movement. And then we go up again. Hands go behind the head as we roll up. And then we reverse it again. Abs are tight. Lower back is flat on the roller. And then we flex a little harder in the core. We flex a little harder through the spine. And we try to really own each and every piece of our spine as it rolls down. And we're going to do one more here as best we can. First, we got to make sure we pull that head into the roller, feel everything activate, and then we crunch. Come up as high as we can. And we flex the core, flex the lower back still, and we roll it down. Each and every piece tries to flex and pull into the ground. We try to own this spinal segmentation as we roll into extension, trying to pull each and every piece down. We're going to get every piece of that upper back to our best ability. We pull the back of the head down, and then we own that pull down for a second. We see if we can flatten more of the spine to the ground, to the roller, and we'll hold for a couple seconds. More neck pull down, more back of the head pull down. 3, 2, 1, and then we will relax. And we will come off of our roller. From here, we are going to try to go through full spinal controlled articular rotation in a seated position. So for this one, I'm going to stay here in this cross leg position. You guys can kneel, you can stand. If you can sit, I would prefer you sit for this one, so that way we keep everything where it needs to be. All right, so I'm going to go nice and slow. Hopefully I don't crunch into the microphone too much, and we will see how this goes for you guys. Should be fun. All right, so for this one, give yourself a hug. Not a big crazy hug, just kind of hold the biceps a little bit, nothing crazy. So we're trying to think about this section of the spine right here, from the collarbones to the top of the ribs. From the collarbones to the base of the ribs. This is where we're focusing on. We just want this chunk to feel like that's where we're moving from. All right, it's not going to be a huge movement. It's going to be fairly tight and specific. If you are super bendy and you know that you can roll really big, you will take your spine to your largest, greatest range of motion. If you're like me and the spine is pretty stiff, again, you are working in your largest, greatest, controllable range of motion. And we're going to do 2 of these in each direction. So we're going to hug the arms, however you want to hold it. You can go here, you can go full hug, and that's where we're going to start. So we sit tall. The chin is going to come down, and we're going to start to peel the back open as if we're crunching down and forward, like we did in the beginning, similar to that foam roller. Imagine that roller is on your back still, and you're peeling off the roller, one piece at a time into flexion. And remember, we're not going to go super far here. Once we think we've made it through the upper back and we feel some of that tension in the upper back, we're then going to twist the chest to the left. And as you twist to the left, imagine I am there with you, holding your bottom ribs still. So you're just trying to spin through and torque the rib cage to the left. Once you max that out, we're going to side bend to the left. Again, I'm holding your ribs still, so that way you can only move through the rib cage and the spine where it lets you. So we get this little high and tight side bend, as if you're going to side crunch through your armpit. From here, we're going to twist to the left, just a tiny bit more. It's only going to go so far. Now, from here, we're going to attempt to extend backwards. So the bottom ribs stay still, and we begin to lift the chest, lift the collarbones, lift the arms a little bit, and we think about arching the upper back as far as it lets us. And we're not going to do a huge lift here. We're just trying to find our own ability to flex and extend the upper back. Once we're all the way up in our extension, we're going to twist to the right. And again, remember, I am there holding your bottom ribs so they don't move. So you're only going to twist so far. From the end of that twist, we side bend. So it's like a crunch through the armpit to the right. From here, we're going to twist more
to the right, and then we're going to crunch and peel it down, and then we come back around to where we started. We're going to go through that again. We'll go a little bit faster now. So we crunch down, we twist, big twist. We side bend as far as it lets us. We twist some more, torquing through the upper back. Your ribs, your lower ribs are pinned still, and then we start to extend. We arch backwards, we flex into the upper back, we lift the chest, we lift the collarbones, the arms raise a little bit as we try to find as much extension we can own in our upper back, and then we twist to the right. Spin through the chest, hold the bottom ribs still, turn your shoulders, side bend to the right, twist to the right, and then we crunch down and forward. We now have two going the other direction, and I'm going to turn sideways here so that you have a slightly different view of what's going on here. So again, we're hugged, chin is down, and we peel it open. We get to the bottom of our crunch, and now we twist to the right to start. We spin, we side bend to the right, through the right armpit, and then we twist for more as best we can. From here, we try to extend. We break the rib cage open in the front, and we squeeze and flex in the back, trying to find our best extension as far as it lets us get. And mine doesn't go super far, but you work with what you got. And then we twist to the left. Once we max out the rotation, we side bend to the left, we twist to the left for more, and then we crunch down. And we got one more. We carry it all the way through. You keep your crunch. You rotate all the way through to the right. We side bend. We twist through the armpit. We twist through the chest. We twist through the shoulders. And then we extend. Big extension, big extension. Reach it back. Find your greatest extension on this last one. Really fight to get everything as bent backwards as possible. And we twist high and tight to the left. Big twist, big twist. Once you're all the way maxed out, we side bend to the left. We then twist more to the left, and then we bring the chin down, the elbows down, and we control our crunch back to where we started. And that is all we are going to do for our thoracic spine specific class. Now, if this was really difficult for you in the seated position, then I want you guys to try this standing, try it sitting in a chair. Hip flexion plays a big role in what you're able to access. So for me personally, when I'm down in this position, it's very difficult, especially to get that arch backwards. When I'm standing, my hip flexors can relax a little bit, so I can put more focus into my upper back. So after you've done the extension drills where we laid over the roller and we rolled back onto the ground or onto the roller, then when you go through the full spine movement, try it standing and see what happens. Remember, when you did the extension drill going backwards, holding onto the weight or the prop, whatever it was, if that gave you pain in your shoulders or in your back, something is not quite right. We need to adjust. Maybe you need a smaller prop. So by smaller, I mean, if this is the diameter that you worked with here, maybe we need to tighten that circle up so it's a little bit less extreme, so your body's more capable and more comfortable bending back over it. Some people will just lay over a tennis ball, and that alone can be enough extension and can be kind of rough. Sometimes you need to wrap that tennis ball in a couple socks so it's softer. These are just ideas that you guys can play with. So thank you guys for watching this class and participating with me. If you have any questions or concerns with what we did today, please message me and let me know. And pay attention for more updates and more videos. We will be continuing a spine series, and there should be a good 3 videos that are included for this series, and I want you guys to try all of them. So thank you again for watching, y'all, and we will see you guys on the next one.